You've done this. The exam or that important presentation is tomorrow. So you sit down with your notes, maybe a large coffee, and you start reading your notes 4, 5, 6 times. By midnight, it feels solid. By the next morning, though, half of it had already evaporated. We tend to chalk that up to bad memory. But that's not what's actually happening. The forgetting is quite predictable, given how the studying was done, and it has nothing to do with how good your memory is. In this video, we're going to cover 4 things. 1. Why your brain rejects most of what you read. 2. How to actually prepare yourself to absorb new information. 3. The technique Richard Feynman used to test whether he truly understood something. And finally, why timing matters just as much as effort. By the end of the video, you'll have a concrete process that you can apply to anything you're trying to learn. And let's start with why your brain doesn't store information just because you looked at it. There is a filter running constantly that checks incoming data for one thing above everything else. Does this connect to something I already know? Does it matter for something I'm actually trying to do? Or in short, is it relevant? If the answer is no, the information gets dropped almost immediately. Think about the difference between studying for an exam, which you'll forget the minute you're done with it, and remembering the lyrics of a song you used to listen to 15 years ago. The difference wasn't the effort you put in learning something, but the relevance and the context around it. This is why you can highlight an entire textbook and still fail the test. So how do you actually prepare yourself before you learn? If your brain encounters a topic cold, no context, no sense of why it matters, the filter will reject most of it when it comes in. The fix is in priming, any activity that gives the brain a framework before the detail arrives. Something as simple as skimming the headings of a chapter before reading it, or writing down 2 or 3 questions you want answered before a lecture starts. It really only takes 5 minutes, but what it does, it tells your brain that the information is coming. It's actually important, and here is roughly where to place it. When the new information arrives, your brain has a place to store it. Now, how can you test yourself if you're actually understanding something? Rereading the notes feels like it's working because the material gets familiar. But as it turns out, familiarity and recall are completely different things. Recognizing something when you see it is not the same as being able to reproduce it from scratch at any given moment. Richard Feynman, one of the most celebrated physicists of the 20th century, built his entire approach to learning around this distinction. His premise was simple. If you can explain something clearly to someone with no background in it, say a 5-year-old, then you understand it. And if you can't, you don't. Try this with anything you're currently studying. Take a blank page, write the concept at the top, then close your notes and explain it in plain language from whatever you can recall, as if you're talking to someone who knows nothing about it. At some point, you'll hit a wall, maybe a sentence that you cannot finish. And that gap is the most important moment in your learning journey, because it tells you exactly where your understanding is missing. Now go back to the source with that specific question, fill the gap, and start the explanation again, maybe to a real human this time. Feynman used this process himself on concepts he'd been working with for years, and found gaps he hadn't noticed before. Competence, in his view, came from being honest about that distinction and not being afraid of appearing as less knowledgeable. And finally, why timing matters just as much as effort. Even if you've genuinely understood something, memory still fades. The way to counter that isn't to review it immediately, but to actually wait. Memory strengthens more when you retrieve information after a short delay rather than right away, which practically means that if you wait until the memory has begun to fade and then go and retrieve it, the brain treats that retrieval as significant and the neural connection gets stronger. A simple sequence that works. Schedule reviews after 1 day, then 3 days, then after a week, and then after 2 weeks. Each round you'll find new gaps that have shifted, which means that your understanding is deepening. And then there is sleep, which tends to get treated as optional but really isn't. Everything learned during the day exists in a fragile state until you enter a deep sleep, a period when your short-term memories get consolidated into long-term storage. That late-night cram session doesn't just leave you tired and potentially throws off your inner clock, but it also prevents that consolidation from happening. At RiseGuide, the intelligence training journey is built around exactly this sequence: priming, active recall, the Feynman method put in practice, and spaced repetition. The lessons are structured so that you're retrieving and applying information rather than just reading it, and the review schedule is built into the system. Test it for yourself and see how much better your recall gets in just a few weeks. The link is below. And now to bring it back to where we started. The brain is actually very good at keeping information when it's given the right conditions. Prime it first, so the new information has somewhere to land. Encode actively, so the material gets processed rather than just seen. Test yourself by trying to explain a new idea to a person who has no context, like a friend or your child. Space the reviews so the neural pathways strengthen over time. And finally, get enough quality sleep so that consolidation actually happens and your brain works for you and not against you. Do those 5 things consistently, and what you learn tends to stay much longer.